It's Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by Dr. Scott Miller. Scott, thank you so much for joining me.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Now, I need to tell our listeners where they may know you, because the problem is you're on This Morning quite a lot,
Well, I
which
don't
is
think it's a
obviously,
problem. Hopefully, it's not a problem.
well, it's the same time as what we go out. So, I mean,
Oh, I
quite clearly
see.
our listeners will probably never ever have seen This Morning in their lives.
Of course, I'm sure they haven't. Or maybe they're listening to you and watching me. You never know.
So we're going to be talking about car safety with dogs. Now, I own a dog myself. I've got a
Lovely.
2-year-old Rotterdor.
Okay, nice.
He's a
Very,
big boy. He's a big boy.
yes.
Um,
Wow.
and I like, as many people do, I like to think of myself as a good dog owner. However,
Mhm.
I think what we're about to talk about, I think you might tell me off, and I'm a little bit worried about it.
Yeah, well, I'll try and be kind.
So I think like a lot of others, so I've got two young kids,
Mhm.
and when we go out anywhere, the dog goes in the boot.
Yes.
It's a big SUV, it's a big car,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Hmm.
he goes in the boot because, like I say,
Hmm.
he's not a tiny little Yorkie or something. He's quite a big boy.
Yeah.
Um, but we don't strap him into anything,
Okay.
and I think you're about to tell me off.
I well, look. Do you have a guard at the back, or
No,
is it just open?
it's
Okay,
just
yeah.
open.
So that does mean that unfortunately you don't quite comply with the highway code rules. So this very interesting survey from Tavo Pets has shown that many people, not just you, aren't quite sure what they should be doing. And actually, 59% of Brits have said that they travel with their pets in the last 6 months with them entirely unsecured. So I think we can all kind of go, all right, we've not done very well on that report card, but it doesn't mean we can't improve quickly.
Yes.
So when it comes to the highway code, the four ways in which they define an animal to be secure is using a seatbelt harness, a dog cage, or a dog guard. So being just in the boot probably wouldn't quite fit, although from the highway code's perspective, it's more about protection of the other occupants of the car rather
Yes.
than your actual dog.
Yes.
So you would have the back seat, the dog would hit the back seat, not the children. So that I can't see anyone pulling you over for that, if I'm honest. And it's we don't know what the how significant the fines are and if they're actually being given. But for me, it's very much away from the concern about the humans and actually more concerned about the pets. So, absolutely securing them with a harness to the back of the seat would very much be a good idea, in my opinion. If I was you, particularly, if you did rear end someone, then he's go careering into the back, which can be painful, and we do see lots of injuries as a result. But we are starting to feel that actually um, us pet owners here in the UK, we're supposed to be a nation of animal lovers, but this particular thing seems to be almost like a little bit of a blind spot, and hopefully we're going to correct that.
Well, I think when you think about it, obviously you go back years and years in cars, and obviously there was a certain point where you didn't have to wear seatbelts at all, and
Yeah,
then it was seatbelts in the front, and you didn't in the
yeah,
back, and now we wear seatbelts. So I think
yeah.
it's a constant evolving, a constant education, isn't it?
I absolutely agree. Couldn't agree more. I mean, I remember, you'd sort of roll around with your brothers and sisters in the back seat, and whilst mum and dad were probably the front smoking. So, I mean, of course, we all evolve, right? But I think that this is maybe a moment in time where we go, okay, that was 1983 that we all had to get used to seatbelts. Going, what the hell is this for? Oh, right, actually, yes, that prevents me from dying in a crash. That's probably a good idea. And now it's not a hard sell for me to go, oh wow, how job's worth of me to suggest that maybe we should be restraining the pets. Now, going back to this survey, so 1 in 10 people are still driving around with their dog on the lap.
I
So,
I
so we've
have to
got.
say it's very rare, but I do see this occasionally, and it
Mm,
drives me insane. And then even
mm,
more so, I have seen somebody driving with obviously a tiny dog on the lap, but with the dog on the lap and their paws up on the steering wheel. And I just think, oh my God.
yeah, well, they probably get a telling off from me. You, my friend, I can understand it, but I mean, that's the kind of mountain that we've got to climb in front of us, where people think that that's okay. And I'm sure if you stop that lady and say, "Can you give me a score out of 1 to 10 how much you love your dog?" And they'll probably say 10.
Yeah, which is
And
probably
yet you go,
why
"Okay,
they're on
how
the lap in the
safe
first
was your
place.
dog doing that out of 1 to 10?" And they can't sit there with a straight face and say, "Oh, 10." I
No.
mean, it's a serious one there, because not only could the dog go straight through the windscreen if and die, very certainly, if they had a collision, the dog would then hit and bounce in the woman's face. Of course, the significant amount of distraction associated with that driver having an animal on your lap. There's so many things wrong about that. But I suppose that's where we've got to go from, and then find a new position, which is actually anytime any pet, cat or dog, is in your vehicle, it needs to be secured properly. And it isn't about the fines, it is about their safety. And if we do define our furry friends as part of the family, well, they deserve the same safety and protection that all members of the family do get.
Yeah, I think it's funny, isn't it? If you're taking a dog with you somewhere, it's
Mm.
probably because you love him or her,
Yeah.
and you're taking them somewhere, maybe for a walk or you're on holiday or wherever it is you're going. You're going somewhere with them because
Hmm.
you love them. Now, we all know again when you put a pet in the car with you, they don't understand. They think it's very exciting. They're going out somewhere new. They're jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's like I say, because my dog is so big, and if we've got the whole family going with us, there is no
Mm.
other place for him but in the boot. He literally couldn't sit
No.
anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, and again, when we're talking about dogs, there are so many different varieties, from the smallest, tiniest little Chihuahua up, to, like I
Mhm.
say, and these big, huge horses and giraffes that we have as well. So let's try and start from the bottom. If you've got a smaller dog,
Yes.
what would your best advice be for small dogs?
Well, in those instances, I do think that a pet carrier is the way to go. And this Tavo product, TAVO, is the first pet protection system that's actually been crash tested. So it uses ISOFIX technology. So the same as, when all of us had babies in the back, and they would click in. It's that kind of quality product that means that they're fully secured and encapsulated, and they're also harnessed from within. So very, very safe, and they're not rolling around. And also, if you tried to put them in a harness and a seatbelt, my concern would be slipping and it being quite loose. And also, we need to remind ourselves that seatbelts are designed for humans,
Yeah.
not for dogs. So
Yeah.
even if you have got them in a harness and in a seatbelt, it's not been fully proven exactly what reaction or response you get. So full encapsulation would be the way forward.
And what about for those of us that own lions and
Yes.
dogs?
Yes, so for your wildebeest, I totally understand why you've put him where you've put him, and I would suggest in that case that you would. I mean, well, I suppose one thing I'd go back to say is that when you're driving at 30 miles an hour, anything that's present in your car will become 30 to 60 times its own body weight as it's being propelled through the air. So your guy is going to flatten
Yeah.
your kids if it wasn't in that back seat, right? So that's why you've made that decision. So the seatbelt and a harness, and most big cars do have some sort of loop or something that you could use,
Yeah.
and even you can justify small loops of material with another clasp, and then that just goes straight on. So very, very easy to surmount. I would definitely suggest doing that. Tavo are coming up with some bigger varieties, but it sounds like your dog needs his own car.
That's quite possibly very true, actually. And you also would recommend maybe a guard in between as well.
Yeah, so if you've got a big one, yes, yeah, absolutely. Putting a guard in between you and the dog would be a great idea. Again, I think when I see guards, I do see people just sort of putting the dog in there, but not securing them. But the guard is seen, and for me, it's like, yes, you're protecting yourself, but how much protection is your dog getting in that situation? They might not get propelled through the windscreen, but they are going to get knocked around. And
Yeah.
the injuries that I see in the practice are quite significant. Everything from torn nails to dislodged teeth, fractured bones. And unfortunately, a lot of pets do die. 240,000 pets injured in the UK by being inside a car in a year. So this isn't a small problem.
That's an unreal problem that I didn't know existed.
Well, and look, you know what? I before I looked into this research, I would agree with you. I wouldn't have thought that it was such a big issue. And I think it just means that all of us pet parents, we love our pets, so we just need to
Yeah.
up our game. That's okay. As parents, we're constantly learning, aren't we? So as
Yep.
pet parents, we
Yep.
can do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, it's certainly broadened my horizons. I know now that I need to go out and buy a few other bits and pieces. So when we do go out on our holidays and our long walks, then that's definitely something we need to do. Um, Thank you so much for talking to me, Scott. I really do appreciate it. If anybody listening right now wants to find out a little bit more about Tavo, where can they do that?
So they can do it on the Tavo website, Tavo, Tavo pets.com. Or if you want to see the kit in all of its glory, then just go into your local Halfords, and they've got the kit there set up, ready to go. So you can just see how it works and the benefits of having a crash tested pet carrier.
Dr. Scott Miller, thank you for talking to me. I really do appreciate it.
Good on you, Paul. Thanks very much.